All right, let's just dive right in. Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a highly focused, investigative look at what is arguably the single most critical and fragile supply chain on the planet. We're talking about how the modern world's entire technological ecosystem, literally everything we rely on to function day in and day out, is controlled by one single company, located on one single island, just off the coast of China.
90%. Just think about that number for a second. Almost every advanced chip on Earth, the silicon brain inside your iPhone, the massive processors training ChatGPT, even the highly complex chips guiding modern fighter jets, they're all built by one company. They don't just make a simple majority, they produce roughly 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. That's practically all of it.
Section 1. The 90% monopoly. Now, to really grasp this monopoly, we have to clarify what this company actually does. They're called TSMC, the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. You see, tech giants like Apple, Nvidia, and AMD, they just design the chips. TSMC actually manufactures them with a level of precision that basically no one else can match. So if that one island ever went dark, so would most of the modern world. This is the staggering, high-stakes reality we're dealing with here. We're not talking about a delayed iPhone launch or a temporary smartphone shortage. We are talking about the absolute fundamental bedrock of the global economy. Section 2. Dominating the global market. When you look at the Q3 2025 foundry market share, the numbers are just wild. TSMC holds a dominating 72% of the market. Their nearest competitor, Samsung, sitting way back at just 7%. And notice who's totally missing from the top tier? Intel. The company that literally used to define American chip making doesn't even crack the top 10 anymore. When it comes to manufacturing chips for other companies, TSMC is in a league completely of its own. And this unparalleled monopoly, well, it's created an absolute bottleneck of demand. TSMC's grip on the most advanced chips, we're talking everything under 3 nanometers, has sparked intense, cutthroat competition. Their newest 2 nanometer chips are completely sold out through 2027. A single wafer of these chips now costs upwards of $30,000. Apple alone has reportedly locked up more than half of that entire production capacity. And that leaves heavyweights like Nvidia, AMD, and literally every AI data center company on Earth battling over whatever scraps are left behind. Section 3. Building a 40-year moat. So you might be wondering, how exactly did this happen? How does one company just corner the entire global market? Well, it absolutely did not happen overnight. Taiwan spent 4 decades and hundreds of billions of dollars building an ecosystem that vast amounts of cash alone simply cannot buy. To put this in perspective, imagine a single human hair. Now, TSMC's manufacturing precision is literally measured in atoms, not millimeters. Their most advanced transistors are so incredibly microscopic that tens of thousands of them could fit across the width of that single human hair. Building the machines and the facilities to etch patterns at that atomic scale, that takes decades of deeply accumulated know-how. Starting way back in the 1980s, Taiwan made these initial, highly focused investments in foundry labs. Then, through the 2000s, they slowly accumulated incredibly deep chemical and equipment supply chains right around those labs. And finally, by the 2020s, they achieved this unmatched atomic-level precision. This timeline proves a really hard truth. Neither the United States nor China can simply replicate what Taiwan has built overnight. Even with unlimited funding, you just can't fast-track 40 years of highly specialized engineering experience. Section 4. The geopolitical risk. Now, because this unmatched manufacturing capability doesn't just exist in a vacuum, we have to look objectively at the immense geographic vulnerability of this specific supply chain. 90 miles. That's it. Barely 90 miles. That is the exact distance between Taiwan and mainland China. And objectively speaking, based purely on geopolitical realities, China has repeatedly stated its long-term intention to eventually reunify with Taiwan, by force if necessary. This close proximity creates an incredible underlying tension around the very factories that power our modern lives. And this geographic reality brings us to an interesting concept that analysts call the Silicon Shield. This is a very widely cited framework among geopolitical and economic analysts. It essentially suggests that the global economy's absolute, utter dependence on Taiwan's semiconductor factories acts as the island's primary deterrent against any foreign invasion.
The theory argues that because an invasion would instantly cripple the global economy by completely cutting off the chip supply, it creates this massive built-in disincentive for conflict. Section 5. America's $100 billion bet.
Washington has actually taken the realities of this silicon shield very seriously. Back in 2022, the US government passed the $50 billion CHIPS Act specifically to jumpstart domestic semiconductor manufacturing. And the response? Well, led by TSMC itself, a massive 2025 announcement detailed an expansion of their Arizona operations, bringing their total US investment to an incredible $165 billion. That makes it the largest single foreign direct investment in US history. We're talking about 3 new fabrication plants, 2 advanced packaging facilities, and 40,000 construction jobs over 4 years. Industry engineers are already dubbing this Arizona complex Mini Hsinchu, after TSMC's home base in Taiwan. But there is a major catch to this historic investment. TSMC executives have openly acknowledged that their absolute bleeding-edge tech, that's going to remain safely at home in Taiwan. Think of it this way. Taiwan is the head chef, keeping the master recipes and the absolute cutting-edge processes, while Arizona is essentially the second kitchen, receiving slightly older generation tech. So while it's a massive step forward for US manufacturing, the absolute crown jewel definitely stays in Taiwan. Section 6. If fabs go dark. Zooming out from the billions of dollars and the atomic level engineering for a second, we really have to look at the macroeconomic reality here. What would a disruption actually mean for our everyday life and for global security? Well, if a natural disaster, a blockade, or any kind of geopolitical conflict disrupted Taiwan's fabs for even just a few months, the shock would be completely devastating. Automakers, smartphone manufacturers, advanced defense contractors, and AI companies, they are all building their futures on a foundation that literally does not exist anywhere else at scale. The modern world would essentially hit a brick wall. Which leaves us with a pretty massive question to ponder. America still designs the best chips in the world, absolutely, but Taiwan builds them. So will America's historic $165 billion bet in the Arizona desert finally pay off and secure the supply chain? Or will the world's technological future remain precariously balanced on one small, incredibly important island? Honestly, it might just be the most consequential industrial question of our decade. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope it gave you a crystal clear picture